meeting to order at 7:30 on April 5th, 2021. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nuts.
Here.
Trustee Richley.
Here.
Trustee Blackstock.
Here.
Trustee Babel.
Here.
Treasurer Hart.
Excuse.
She's virtual. Clerk Good is here. And Supervisor Roush.
Here. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda as presented?
I would like to request, I don't know if we want to discuss it or not, or later on do this, but I wanted to postpone item MB-7 until the committee does its work, if possible.
Yeah, MB-7 has a few stipulations to it, so I guess we'll leave that to a vote.
Okay. Can I make a motion then?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with an amendment to postpone item MB-7, which is the clerk's salary resolution, until the elected officials compensation committee presents their transparent report to the full board of trustees.
So we have a motion, we have support.
I'll support. Treasurer Hart.
All right, we have a motion, we have a support. As Trustee Richley said, all in favor? Let's do a roll call on that.
I want to hear the motion again.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I can, do you want me to, I wrote it out, I'm sorry.
So we have a motion and a support to approve the agenda with an amendment to postpone item new business 7, the clerk's salary resolution, until the elected officials compensation committee presents their transparent report to the full board of trustees. Take a roll call on this one, please.
Is there any discussion on this?
Oh, I'm sorry.
discussion on that.
Is
I skipped that part.
Okay, I guess I just wanted a little more information as to why.
Sure. So basically, what my viewpoint, I guess what my viewpoint was, like the whole purpose of creating that committee, a month or what was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
Was to kind of discuss what the duties of each, whether it's the supervisor, clerk, and treasurer, like what their duties are. And after further, like I went through some old almanacs and stuff like that, like of pay similar sized townships that like don't have a township manager or do have a township manager. And I mean, obviously that's work that the committee is gonna have to do to further present that to the board. But I think the previous board like had discussions about this and stuff like that, but I think without that resolution, I think we should let the committee do their work, and but just so that we know why it's going to be increased.
Okay. Does this have an impact on anything else on our agenda?
It does. It has an impact on new business 8 and 9.
Okay. And just for clarification, what's been given to us tonight was budgeted for by the previous board, correct?
Correct.
Exactly.
So we have a resolution that essentially just was not completed
Right.
before this new board sat.
Correct.
That is my problem with it too, that it was already in the budget and approved for this amount, and that's all we had to do is follow through with a resolution. So I don't see the point of holding off on it when it was already approved.
The previous board did in fact approve that. They just didn't follow through with approving the actual salary, but that was their discussion, the reason they put it in the first place. So it's already been reviewed by one board.
My only question, my only concern, I guess, is that it was posted one way to the public. And if we, I mean, it's just, we had Mr. Town was clerk, then you had Mr. Freehand, and then when Mrs. Smith was clerk, we increased. Then when Mr. Good became clerk, we decreased. Now we're talking about increasing it again. I think I don't know that it looks good to the public.
Well, it was never increased and then decreased.
Never been
No, it was
changed.
It's never been changed.
It's never been
The money's been put in
increased.
the budget for this year.
Okay, so I mean, like, when Clerk Smith was in there, was she paid extra or no?
No.
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 Oh, okay, okay.
No, and we gotta remember too, that she didn't ask for this position again. She didn't run for it, so,
Right,
you know.
right. I understand that.
Just another brief history on this. Again, from a previous board, we've gone through this issue, and this position, I'm not sure what data you're looking at. This position has been modified by the state of Michigan drastically, and we've burned through 3 clerks that have, all 3 have said that.
Yes.
The issue is that our township is no longer, in my opinion, a township. We're a city. China does not have a water plant. They do not have a sewer plant. They do not have half the amenities that we have. We don't have half the amenities that Marine City has. But I do know that 3 clerks have resigned from this position because their workload has been doubled. And that has been forced upon us by the state. So previously it was approved. So my opinion is, let's dot the I and finish the resolution and move on.
The only other thing I'll say, because obviously I'm new, I mean, you know, that kind of thing. But just looking at the numbers purely from other townships and cities, or not cities, but other townships that are common law versus charter, the clerk and the treasurer always have like a similar pay scale. And ours is, even right now, before we even increase the clerk, the treasurer is like way down. So I see that as a concern as well. And I think it would be good for the committee, just going forward, like the committee to look at what those increases of, at least from my perspective, because obviously I've not been
It
here
has a
very
lot
long.
to do with, it has a lot to do with how much work is involved in the different jobs.
Right.
You know, both, and the previous clerk, the previous treasurer, I can tell you, didn't have to work too hard. So I know there's some more things that have to be done. Besides that, I would not be in favor of the resolution because it assumes that we are going to go ahead with the committee. I'm not all in favor of that either, and that's still got to come up for a vote. So I think we should leave everything on the agenda just as it
We've
is.
already voted
And
on the committee.
Mr. Riker can bring that up
Yes,
again
we did.
Okay.
if we get to NB7.
Okay.
Well, we have the motion, so we have to act on that. So I guess we'll take a roll call as far as the approval of the agenda with the amendment of removing new business 7.
Supervisor Rush, I'm going to need permission to abstain because it does affect the clerk position
Approved.
at this point, and I need unanimous consent from all of you to abstain.
I'll support that.
I'll support.
I support.
I'm sorry, I can only get about half of what you're
Oh,
saying,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Miller.
I should speak up a little louder, I guess. My voice is not affected, the body's going, but not the voice. What I'm saying is that this is a position, this motion affects the clerk, and I want to abstain.
Oh,
But
sure.
in order to abstain, I have to have unanimous consent from the board.
No, okay, yes.
Okay.
So we have the unanimous consent.
Thank you.
Treasurer Hart?
Yes,
Yes?
we're voting on the abstaining, is that,
Oh,
No, we're voting on the motion by Mr. Richley.
okay, I'm sorry, everything's kind of muffled a little bit, but,
We're voting on the motion by Alan Richley to approve the agenda with the deletion of new business number 7.
yes, I do vote to remove that item.
So it's a yes.
Yes.
Trustee Babel?
No,
No?
no, I don't want it.
Okay. I'm just checking.
Okay.
Making sure. Trustee Blackstock?
No.
Trustee Knott?
No,
Trustee Richley.
Yes.
Supervisor Rouse.
No. All
Motion
right, so
fails.
the motion carries to still not approve of the agenda. So we would need, if there's no more discussion, we would look for a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion, so we accept the agenda as presented.
Support.
All right, we have a motion and we have support to approve the agenda as accepted. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
Yes.
We have motion carries to approve the agenda. Moving into the approval of the minutes for is that March 18th, I believe.
March 15th.
March 15th, yep. They're in your packets. If we have no questions, a motion to approve the minutes would be in order.
I have a couple of corrections real quick, I'm sorry. Under the approval of the agenda, the MB-7 and MB-8, they were switched, the vote was switched. Like MB-8 was the first vote, and then, I don't know why it was that way, but that's,
Okay.
and then, under the offer of private property, I mean, this is a minor thing, but I made a motion to respectfully decline. Just add the word respectfully, and then that was it.
Okay.
With those corrections, I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Support.
All right. We have a motion, we have support to accept the minutes from the March 15th meeting with the couple of corrections as stated by Alan Richley. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving to consent agenda, also in your packets. There are no financial reports in this packet, as I'm sure you've seen. So if there's no questions about the consent agenda, a motion to accept would be in order.
I'll make motion.
Support.
All right, we have a motion, we have a support to accept the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have a Mr. Weston from the St. Clair County Road Commission as a guest speaker today. Let him have the floor.
All right, thank you for having me tonight. I'll just make this real quick. As stated in our February township meetings, normally we have those in person. We had them virtually this year, so there's usually breakout sessions where we would talk each board and go over what we can or can't do and how we can help the township in their road needs. So what I did is I gave you a handout there, just so you can make notes on that and that type of thing. If there's any questions later on, you can always call me at the office, and we can go through that. And then you have a district foreman, Mike Zoplitz, which has been with us for quite some time. Very nice person. He's always open to questions if you have any out there, so you can call him on that. So, as you know, the county's made up of 3 different districts. In our case, Tim Lalonde, it takes care of District 3 that represents your needs. If something isn't getting done that I'm not addressing properly, you can always contact him, and he'll take care of those. We're made up of over 1,500 miles of roadway and about 228 bridges in the county. That's second in the state in the amount of county or bridges. Wayne County's the only one ahead of us with more bridges than what we have. When we talk about funding, there isn't necessarily a line item over there for bridges in the MTF, Michigan Transportation Fund. So we have to pull out of our general fund, just like other counties do, the money that we get through Michigan Transportation Fund to pay for those bridges, even though we have more. To go into that source of funding, the Michigan Transportation Fund was put together back in 1951. It's been amended roughly 90 different times over that period of time. So it's the other funding we have is a county transportation millage. That's a $0.25 mil for each homeowner. And that stays either within the village that it's collected, or in the township's case, it would come back to the road commission to be used for the primary system. And I'll go into that in a few minutes here. There's a county appropriation, which is unique to St. Clair County. There's about 13 counties throughout the state that have an appropriation from the county. Our board, our county board, designates 900,000 per year to be used in the match money program that we'll talk about here shortly. The other funding source we have is from the townships like yourself that help match those matching dollars. On that Michigan Transportation Fund, the next page there's about $3.17 billion that's collected. Out of that, there's several funds that come out of there: the State Trunk Line Fund, Recreation, other state departments like Secretary of State, DNR, State Police, that type of thing, and MDOT debt service. This was before the $3 billion transportation bond issue or bond sale that was done by the governor. So actually, the off the top and the amount that we would receive would probably be a little bit less than this, because those are only MDOT dollars to be used on MDOT state trunk lines, roads like M29 out here, bridges, that type of thing on the state system. If we go back to the transportation millage, it was put on the ballot in 2012. It's a 4-year term, a quarter mil. It's renewed 2 different times by the voters, and we appreciate that. It's much needed. How we use that funding, it's for federal aid eligible roads and bridges. Federal aid eligible roads would be like King Road. That's a major primary road. And how those funds come to us, 80% federal dollars, state and federal dollars, and we have to have a 20% match on those. We use this millage money to match those dollars. Bridges are a little different. Like Meldrum over here, that's a 95-5 match. 95 state and federal funding, 5% local funds, and we use those millage dollars. That's how that bridge was built, by the way. About $3.4 million job. We did that, about 5% of that, and we use those millage dollars to build that. So it is coming back to your community. You see those dollars. We try to spread that as much as we can across the county. Some years are more difficult than others, but we try to share that throughout the county. Just an example, we've received since the initiation of this, about $52 million worth of road funding projects. It's not on your sheet here tonight, but I think our expenditure was right around $9 or $10 million, maybe $12 million out of that. So we do add a little bit to that. So over the last few years, so you get quite a return for your investment. The local road funding assistance program, it's a 50-50 match program that we do with the townships. I think you're using Bell River Road this year. You're doing some paving out there.
Yes.
That's a great example of the match money program, that local road funding. You can use it for small structures such as culverts. You can do overlays. You can do paving overlays, road preservations, that's chip seals. You can do ditching. There's a number of items, road construction projects out there. That's available to you every year, depending on what you want to do. $100,000 for construction, $25,000 for ditching match. That's what they're capped at. And then $50,000 for road preservation, which can be a light overlay, chip seal, microsurfacing, that type of thing. I believe you used it before on Reamer Road and different ones like that in the past. I'm not sure of that, but.
We did a springboard that way.
Or Springborn, there you go. The match money program, through the appropriation we talked about from the county, that's used for the limestone haul, chloride and dust control, ditching, crossroad culverts, just about everything you do in the maintenance side. And that's all distributed based on population and mileage, how much mileage you have within the township and the population. So there's a formula that we use for that. The other programs we have is a drain fund, limestone program, and a ditching program. The limestone program is an 80-20 split. We'll do up to $20,000 in limestone that you can use on your roadways. You've used that in the past. most recently, I believe, with Range. East China is quite unique there, because how this works, you have to have a running average per year. You stay on that average, you get the dollars. Seeing that you have so little in the way of gravel, you've done a great job paving these roads, that the board made an exception for East China and Port Huron Township to just receive those funds to be used for preservation or some type of paving program. So you use those each year for that. And again, if you've got questions later on, just reach out to Mike or myself, and Mike Zoplitz, and we'll help you with that. The ditching program, we allocate $10,000 per township to be ditching or any kind of storm sewer repairs. That can be used. There's no match requirement on those dollars. So those are taken care of that way. The other page there just shows you a breakdown of what we've got throughout our system. You see state trunk line. We have a state trunk line maintenance agreement with MDOT. We take care of M29, 94, 69, 25, so on, even 154 over on the island. This is where it gets to the township. We do the spring road trips, which is unique this year with COVID and all. We've been basically trying to do them somewhat virtual. But every spring, the district foreman will get with your supervisor, or you can take the whole board if you want. We have a van that you can all get in if you like, look at the road conditions, look at projects you want to do that upcoming year. He'll explain how much money's in these programs, where you are with match money, and he'll make recommendations to you on what he sees out there. And you don't necessarily have to do those projects, but it's just recommendations to you. You decide on those projects as a board, what you want to do and what you don't want to do. It goes all the way from paving to ditching to storm repairs, or you name it. So we are somewhat unique, this county, on the amount of matching programs we have. You don't see that with other counties so much, especially these 50-50 matches and the bridge programs, the free stone, the free ditchings, things like that. They're somewhat limited, so we're fortunate to have those in our community to share with the townships, and we want to work with you as much as we can, so your residents reap that reward. So after those road trips, you'll do that, identify projects that you want to do. We'll write an estimate for those. The work will be done either by us or even contractors sometime, depending on the project. Then we bill at the beginning of the job and throughout the job as we complete the work out there. So the last couple slides there, basically just winter maintenance policies. Hopefully that's behind us. First priority is state trunk lines like M29. Our primary system is second, and then into the local system. And then the local bridge program, again, if there's bridges within the township, we'll look at those if they're federal aid eligible. And a bridge is considered anything over 20 feet in span. So anything over 20 feet free span is eligible for these funding dollars that are out there. So, and I'm not so sure you got too much of that in East China that comes to mind anyway, that's outside the primary system. So wouldn't necessarily have to worry about that here, but it kind of wraps it up. Any questions?
Does Mike reach out to set up that study?
Yeah,
Or the
a
road
road
trip?
trip, yeah, he'll get in touch with you. I know you've been busy, everybody's been busy. COVID makes it very hard to do. So he'll get with you on that any projects you may want to do. He'll make recommendations. He'll say, hey, we've had issues here or there. Some townships will, you can't always do them all in 1 year. You'll kind of break it out over a period of years, kind of put a plan together on what you want to do. So, and he'll give you estimates for each one of those projects and what matching program is eligible or what you can use. So, very knowledgeable. We're proud to have him. He does a great job for us at the road commission. So.
Any other comments, questions?
No. It's been working well, I think. We always, in the past, we've always tried to take as much advantage as we can of your matching money.
Yeah, that's what it's there for, so. And if you've got a project, coming up, if you let us know and it needs to be taken care of over a couple of years, we'll help you with that as well, to spread that cost somehow. So it's always an option.
All right, well, appreciate your time, Kirk.
Yep, thanks for having me. Y'all have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Excuse me. All right, moving into disbursements. We have a total payroll direct deposits, $37,002.54. Total accounts payable, $264,952.42. EFT of $17,397.83. And e-checks of the amount of $604.60 for a total $319,957.39.
Well, the treasurer usually makes that motion, and maybe she didn't hear you.
Nicole, you still there?
I'm still here. I make a motion to pay the bills in total amount of $319,957.39.
I'll support.
All right, we have a motion, we have a support to pay the bills. Any further discussion?
I only have one comment. I see that we're paying $230 for that lawyer, or that assessor, that we voted down that we didn't want. We're paying it anyway.
Yes.
Is that every year, every month?
Every year.
Every year.
Yep.
No further comment.
All right.
Damn state.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Richley?
Yes.
Clerk Good, yes? Trustee Knott?
Yes.
Trustee Blackstock?
Yes.
Trustee Babel?
Yes.
Treasurer Hart?
Yes.
Supervisor Roush?
Yes. All right, we'll pay the bills. All right, into old business. As stated, old business one is going to be moved to the end of the agenda, as stated here. So old business two is the SWIP proposal. So this we discussed in the last meeting, which is the Surface Water Intake Protection Program. There's a proposal for $8,000 for PCE to prepare this, which is going to help us with get more points towards our big loan that we're looking for. So, Mr. Monte's here to kind of answer any questions you might have.
Correct. I'm John Monte from Project Control Engineering. The reason that this came about mainly is because turns out that they had 3 times more requests for funds this year than, money, 3 times the amount of money was requested than they have. So it was somewhere around the range of $250 million that they set aside for projects, with a couple other areas, but 250, and they had like over 700 million requested. So now what happens is it boils down to who's going to score the best to be able to get the loan. One of the things that was identified several times in your sanitary survey for the water plant was they wanted you to do this particular study. And they don't force it on you, but they request it each time they come through and do their survey. This particular item is worth 100 points out of 1,000, so it's worth 10%. So if it was only a couple of points, we'd say don't bother, wasting time with it. But we think that it'll certainly improve your score. So that's what this is all about at this point, trying to score. 2, if it doesn't work out this year, because obviously they're going to take whatever they think is the best way to spend their funds and who scores the most, this can be used next year. You know what I mean? So.
Do you have to reapply each year, or do they
Yes.
carry you over?
They say they have some carryovers, but we believe that you have to apply, just reinsert your application. But at that point, minor work to make an update, change some dates and things like that. So,
So this is something we keep perpetually for many years, actually.
yeah.
It sounds like the SWIP is something that we really need to have in place regardless.
Not really.
Not really.
It's because of our situation in the water plant, in the water where we're getting water out of the middle of the St. Clair River, the surface water problem is not a problem for us, and that's why they've never really beat us up about making sure we have one.
You are correct.
The only reason to do this is the 100 points.
That's exactly it, unfortunately.
What is your opinion, if we get, say you got your 100 points, how's that fit us in to the?
Well, we're thinking it's really important in this situation, as we've gone through and started preparing the draft of this plan. We're looking at it and going, this is important, and there's, we can't tell you what they're gonna finally do in the end, but it was actually strongly recommended by the person that we're working with right now, the grant coordinator, and said, you really need to do this if you wanna have an opportunity. So we looked at some of the past people that received the loans, and almost every single one of them had it. So,
Right. I'm more interested in the fact that since since I got so many loans, that, our chances are pretty low about actually getting it this year. I'm more interested in if we can use the money that we're spending to make these plans and carry them over for a resubmittal.
absolutely.
And if we do that, I'm sure there's some additional, but I hope it's not the same 52 grand.
Oh, no, not at all. It's just resubmitting the application at that point. So, again, it might be changing some dates or updating a little basic information, but very minor.
Okay, thank you.
When it's resubmitted, does that cost another 8,000?
No, this is to prepare that plan, and once you have this plan, at some point in the future, you might update it as your system changes or something. But no, there wouldn't be dollars like that for any of it, even the rest of the dollars that you've already spent. I'm talking, I can't even imagine $1,000 being spent to like maybe update something, but
Yeah, the upfront cost is to prepare the plans.
absolutely. It's extensive. These plans are very extensive.
All right, any further questions? So basically, we're looking for a motion to approve the proposal from PCE to prepare the SWIP for East China Township at a cost not to exceed $8,000.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
All right, we have a motion, we have a support to approve the proposal from PCE for the SWIP plan at not to exceed $8,000. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
You're gonna need a roll call.
A roll
Oh,
call.
yeah, you're right.
You want to roll?
Yes, please.
Okay.
That's the money one.
Trustee Blackstock?
Yes.
Trustee Babel?
Yes.
Trustee Richley?
Yes.
Trustee Knott?
Yes.
Treasurer Hart?
Yes.
Clerk Good? No. Supervisor Roush?
Yes. All right, so the motion carries to award PCE this portion of the job.
Thank you. Nice to meet you guys in person.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you very much.
All right, old business number 3, the elected officials compensation committee appointments. So really, before we get into this, I guess, we're looking to appoint the committee tonight. So we're looking for the initial setup was Cindy was going to run point, 2 board members and 2 residents. So we posted it on the website. I made some calls, 0 interest from any residents sitting on this board. So that being said, I think that we should revote to just eliminate that part so we don't have an incomplete board, so we can move on with this. So just having Cindy and 2 board members, and if there's residential complaints about it, it was posted for 3 weeks now, and not one call or message about it. So I would make the motion to change the committee to Cindy as the point for the committee, as well as 2 board members, and remove the 2 residents from the committee.
I'll
Can I,
support.
before you do that, can I make a recommendation?
Yes.
That you add due to lack of
Yes. Due to lack of public support,
or interest.
public interest, yeah. So should I remake that motion?
Do we need to have it at all?
Well, we voted last meeting to have this review committee, which isn't costing us anything. So it's just to have it. All right, so I'll remake the motion to change the committee for the elected official salary review committee to the township manager is running the lead for the committee with 2 board members, and removing the 2 residents as previously discussed due to lack of community interest.
I'll support.
We have a motion, we have support. Any further discussion?
Move the 2 residents, okay.
Correct, yes.
You were running through that, and I was trying to shorthand it here.
I'm trying to think about it in my head as I say it, yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so that is approved. So then we get into the appointment of the members of the elected official salary review committee. So we know that Cindy is going to have the township manager role. So do we have any volunteers as the 2 board members that would like to sit in this committee?
I would like to volunteer if no one else would like to.
All right, so we have Alan, Mr. Richley, Trustee Richley, looking for one more.
I will.
And Deb, Miss Trustee Babel. Having a hard time putting words together tonight. All right, so we'll do each of you individually. So the action would be to appoint Trustee Richley to the elected official salary review committee. So we look for a motion for that.
So moved.
This 3-member committee?
3-member committee.
Are we doing them separate?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll support.
All right. So we have a motion, we have support to accept Trustee Richley. Any further discussion?
Do I abstain, or how does that work?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, I'll abstain.
Good idea. All right, so we have a motion and support to accept Alan Richley to the elected official salary review committee. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right, so that motion carries. Oh, sorry, all in favor? Not.
I'll vote. Put me down for favor.
All right, sorry, I'm having a hard time here today. All right, the motion carries for Mr. Richley. Second is to motion to accept Trustee Babel to the elected official salary review committee.
So moved.
Support.
So we have a motion, we have support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I still say I'm still got the same problem, that this is not something that we should be undertaking in the current state of the economy, discussing among ourselves, raising elected officials' salaries. When people are going to food markets and everything else, never mind.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's nothing that has to be adopted, it's just something that we are going to look into.
Bad taste.
All right, moving into old business 4. So, as stated on Dolphin Street, the resident has some medical conditions. He's an older gentleman, heard a little bit of maybe dementia, left the garden hose on in the backyard. We've attached their previous water bills that are pretty consistent, in the $200 to $300 mark. This particular bill is $1,100, so they're just asking for the goodness of the township to waive the sewage portion on the invoice for the amount of $316.60.
So moved.
Support.
All right, we have a motion and a support to credit the homeowner's account an amount of $316.60 for the sewage portion of the invoice from 8/1 to 11/1. Any further discussion? Let's do a roll call on this.
I have a concern.
Yes.
I just have a concern. I mean, I know East China does have a large elderly population too, but I mean, you start doing for one, you're gonna end up doing a whole bunch, and we don't do the pool, credits anymore either, and how would this be much different than like if a pipe burst and someone said, oh my God, my bill is this much, can you,
We've been doing those all along.
Yeah, we do that.
precedence here.
We do those. anyway.
We do those all the time. We usually have this guy from DPW goes out and verifies the fact that there was a break, there was a leak. He verifies that there was. We've done many of these where we've forgive the sewer portion. They still got to pay the water.
The water, but-
All right, any further discussion? All right, a roll call on this? Yeah, sorry. Keep it busy.
Trustee Nuts?
Yes.
Trustee Richley?
Yes.
Trustee Babel?
Yes.
Trustee Blackstock?
Yes.
Treasurer Hart?
No.
Clerk Goods, yes. Supervisor Roush?
Yes. All right, so the motion there carries to waive the sewage portion of that bill. All right, moving into new business. New business 1 is the 2021 quarter 1 budget amendments. Pretty minimal.
Would have loved to see the one that, in this group of amendments, dropping the erroneous depreciation amounts out of the sewer fund, and would be a great time to do it, we right with these amendments, but I guess we're gonna do it separate.
Any questions on?
Better paper trail doing it separate.
Resolution.
Do you need this resolution?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, need a motion and then read her off.
All right, I'll read the motion. So Resolution 22-2021, amend the 2020 budget quarter, that should be 2021 budget, correct?
Yes.
Quarter 1, 2021, Charter Township of East China, St. Clair County, State of Michigan. Minutes of the regular meeting of the Township Board of East China Township, County of St. Clair, Michigan, on the 5th day of April, 2021. The following resolution was offered by myself. Whereas East China Township budgeting and accounting practices stipulate quarterly budget amendments to reflect financial activities during the quarter and provide the basis for financial controls in future quarters. And whereas financial analysis of all fund accounts indicates a need to amend the budgets for general fund accounts, the 2013 ACAP bond expenditures, and building department fund expenditures. Now therefore be it resolved that the East China Board of Trustees hereby approves budget amendments for the first quarter of 2021 as follows below and specifically detailed in Exhibit A. I'll just read the final. So budget amendment total is from $3,510 to $67,662.15 for an increase of $63,302.15.
Support. Clear good support. All right, We have motion, we have support for resolution 22-2021. Any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Treasurer Hart?
Yeah.
Clerk Good is yes. Treasurer Knott?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Treasurer Knott's not, no thank you.
Treasurer Knott's not here. Trustee Knott?
Yes.
Trustee Richley?
Yes.
Trustee Blackstock?
Yes.
Trustee Babel?
Yes.
Supervisor Roush?
Yes. All right, motion carries. New business 2, as Ralph stated, to remove the depreciation from the report, the new entries involving depreciation from the budget report.
I'll try this again one more time, and I'm gonna be good, I guess. Evidently, I didn't explain it right or something the last time. But depreciation is an accounting trick that's used so you can get the total asset value of an organization like East China. It's done every year in the audit report, where they'll put in all our brick and mortar, all of our assets. When they get down to the bottom, they have to look at our assets and say they're got old or they've gotten worn out a little bit, and they are depreciated. But they actually depreciate by a very specific amount. It's in a bunch of tables that the state has. It says you will depreciate your stuff in this amount. It is what it does, it allows you to come up with a net asset value of what does the community's property and stuff worth. That's all it does. If we were a tax-paying organization, it's important because you pay taxes on your property. And that's why they use that accounting trick in order to say, how much is it really worth that I have to pay taxes on? And that's what it's for. The revenue and expenditure report is what we use, or the rest of the township uses, is the yearly budget. And what it tells us each month as we get it is how well we are performing against our budget. And we just made a small change in the first quarter because there were some differences in the quarter. And that's what this is for. You don't put depreciation as a expense with no revenue. What this shows is, if I were to believe this, is that all of a sudden we have $490,000 in expenses exceeding our revenues for this year. That's what it says in here. It's never been that way before, and there's no reason to have it in this particular report. If somebody wants to have a monthly depreciation report, I suppose we could produce one, but there is really no such thing because they only do it once a year with the auditors. It only comes around once a year. I'm also concerned that even though they put it in, it's a funny number because we don't own East China, all of the property that we use. We have a co-owner who lives over there about 2 miles for all of our property, so even so the numbers are even more strange than that. It has never been in here before, and you could when you didn't have it, you could go to the bottom of the report and you could see for this particular period how much money we've spent, how much money we should have spent, how much money is still left over. We got half a year to go, do we got half of the money? And you get an idea of, and trustees' fiduciary responsibility is, are we okay? Are we following our own budget, basically? And I could not understand why it all of a sudden popped up in here. It has never been this way before. So I kind of checked around. And what I found out was that our financial clerk was involved in meetings with people trying to determine how to set up rates for the water later on. And in those meetings, the words depreciation were used. She thought about that and thought it was a good idea that maybe she should put it in the report. She was not directed to do it, nor was there anything in the meeting said that you should put it into that report. It was just her idea. I've talked to the township manager, and basically it's like this. One person can stick it in because they think it's a good idea, but it takes a motion of the board to take it out. And so that's where I'm at right now, trying to explain the best I can. That doesn't belong in this report. In fact, it muddles it because it makes it harder for us to determine how well we're doing during the year, because we're really not $490,000 in all this year so far. And what I would propose is that the board direct, by motion, that they take out the depreciation items out of the water fund and the sewer fund, and return the the revenue and expenditure report to the format that we previously had.
Thank you, Ralph, for checking in on that and
That's
finding
right
out
on.
the answer, because Cindy had no defining answer last meeting of why that was changed. So that's great that you found that out, so makes it much clearer.
Yeah. I did get a chance to talk to the auditors while they were here last week before last. And she kind of reiterated the same thing Ralph just explained, which was it's going to be there not in the report, but it's going to be in the end of the year paperwork. It's just a matter of if you want to see it all year long or not. So that being said, I'll make a motion to remove the new entries involving depreciation from the report.
And I will certainly support that.
And we have a motion, we have support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you very much. And maybe I make it too much of this, but it's been driving me crazy thinking about it last week.
All right, so the new business 3, the emergency generator bid. Since the township is a emergency shelter for the township, or I should say the hall is an emergency shelter, we have no backup power except a manual plug-in generator system. So it was put in the budget last year, $100,000 in the budget based on some quotes that they got. This is actually my background, so I kind of designed a little bit of a different system with the help of Mr. Greg Furtaw, our electrical inspector, and we came up with 3 quotes that are substantially lower than the previous quotes. So PM Technologies was the lowest company. They spec'd out a Kohler generator, where the other 2 companies, Easy Electric and Rich Osterman Electric, both spec'd out Generac generators. Say Easy, I would think would be out there quite a bit more expensive, $30,000 more for the same package. So I guess the option here, I believe, would be PM Technologies using a Kohler generator, or Rich Osterman using a Generac generator, which is, the Cadillac of generators.
What would you suggest?
I have a history with Rich Osterman. I know they do great work, very, very dependable, and they stand behind all their work. Been around for a long time, over 30 years. I haven't heard anything bad about PM Technologies. I do like the fact that they offered a couple different options, but none of them are Generac generators, I think in an effort to keep their bid low. So my recommendation would be to go with the Rich Osterman Electric quote of $75,626, which, as stated, is $24,300 less than our budget. That includes the concrete, the gas piping, all permits, and a turnkey package.
Now, is the Osterman one is the one with the Generac
Correct.
as opposed to the one with the Kohler?
Correct.
And that would be the reason for the spending the difference in price.
Yes.
How about any kind of guarantee do we get on this?
I believe there was a, I know all the Generacs come with a factory warranty.
Actually, the second option was only like $4,000 difference. from what
I'm
it
not
was.
surprised at the cost of the Generacs, but
No, they are the nice,
that's the ones you see around at all the places that have that extra power. What you see sitting there is a Generac.
yeah.
There's a reason for that.
I have a Generac, and I'm very well pleased with it.
I wish they'd have
Doesn't
said,
happen often, but it does go off.
I wish they would have said something about,
Yeah, and like I said, I know that I want to say it's a 5-year bumper-to-bumper warranty on the generators typically. I can verify that before we actually issue the,
yeah, I would like
Purchase
to see,
order.
and perhaps would Osterman give us like 1 year install on, for
Yeah.
his work?
yeah, almost all electrical companies are 1 year on their labor and parts and material. But yeah, I can get them to give us that in writing.
Yeah, that, and then whatever the Generac warranty, that should be several years, the
Yeah,
warranty itself on the main generator. All right.
all right, any further questions?
His does come up a little less because he doesn't have that, or at least I don't see it anywhere. Overtime, Saturday pricing, which
Oh,
if
on
they did that, if you added that to the 94,000 or whatever it is,
Yeah,
that
they're almost identical.
you could get in some money there.
94,000 didn't want the job, he just wanted.
He doesn't have that on his, so I don't see anything in there about Saturday or overtime or anything in that bid.
Yeah, he's got it as a $1,500 adder on the second page, overtime
Yeah, I
cost.
saw that, but
Yeah,
it's not like 8,000 like the other guys.
yeah, 8,000 is absurd.
Pretty hefty.
All right, so I guess if there's no further questions, my recommendation would be to go with the Rich Osman Electric quote.
No support.
All right, we have a motion, we have support to accept award the bid for the emergency standby generator to Rich Osman Electric in the amount of $75,626. Any further discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call on this, please.
Yes, you have to do it, it's money.
I think with this amount of money, we should.
Yeah.
It's money.
Treasurer Hart,
Yes.
Trustee Blackstock,
Yes.
Trustee Babel,
Yes.
Trustee Richley,
Yes.
Trustee Knotts,
Yes,
Clerk Good is a yes. Supervisor Ralph,
Yes. All right, the award goes to Rich Osman Electric. Moving into new business number 4, the purchase of a new computer for the front office. The one that we have up there was purchased in 2014. As we start getting into having a part-time person back up at the counter, doing more of the computer work, we're looking to upgrade that computer. Prices have gone up, so I guess the action request would be to purchase a new computer and monitor for the front office in the amount of not to exceed $1,800.
I think we just lost our part-time person.
She'll be back. She's gonna conquer.
I don't have any problem with that. Somebody else can.
This is the last one they said, or all up?
Yeah, this is the last computer to upgrade.
All right, I'll make a motion that we purchase the new computer and monitor from High Tech, not to exceed $1,800.
Support.
We have a motion, we have a support to purchase the new computer. Any further discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Babel?
Yes.
Trustee Richley?
Yes.
Trustee Knox?
Yes.
Trustee Blackstock?
Yes.
Treasurer Hart?
Yes.
Clerk Goods, yes. Supervisor Rouse?
Yes. All right, motion carries. New business 5, the MS4 permit for this calendar year. Basically, it's something that we do every year. It's a group, collaborative group, allows us to basically split the permit cost. This year, the amount for East China would be $855.17.
I'll make a motion that we approve expenditure or our cost share of the permit for the NDES MS4 Advisory Group of $855.17.
I'll support.
All right, we have a motion, we have support. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Blackstock?
Yes.
Clerk Good is a yes. Treasurer Hart?
Yes.
Trustee Richley?
Yes.
Trustee Knox?
Yes.
Supervisor Rouse?
Yes. All right,
Did I say right?
Can't say me. Yes.
Bad table. I'm sorry.
all right, good. All right, motion carries. All right, moving into new business 6. This is for the deputy clerk to attend the MAMC Institute conference. I was looking for the word conference here. So she was approved to take it last year. Obviously with COVID, that got shut down. There's a $500 scholarship that they applied for that was approved. So looks like the total cost would be around $700, offset by $500 scholarship. So somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 is what we're looking to approve.
It could be more than that, though. This
Could be
because
more.
usually, we always approve these with, what do they call it?
Per diem.
Travel, hotel, travel, incidental, meal costs.
Yeah.
So it could be somewhat more than.
Yeah, so we usually don't put a limit like that on it.
Okay. All right.
Now, what if this is canceled again? Are we going to be reimbursed whatever we've outpaid on that? Because you never know.
Right, I'd have to check on that, honestly, I don't know. I would assume so. And I don't know what part of it is just the registration fee and,
The registration fee, I believe, is $700, which includes the registration, lunches, and 2 dinners.
Okay.
The hotel, travel, meals would not be included. They're separate. But everything that the MAC does is something that covers
Training's
what
always
she
good.
does, you know. And I think it would be beneficial to the East China to have her do this.
Yeah.
But everything in there that's, it is related to the clerk operation.
Oh, I agree. But I just don't want to see us throwing money out and if something happens and
I
we
understand.
don't recoup that, expenditures, because you're going to have to pay for the hotel and all that up front.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the attendance of Wendy Mildrum at the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks Institute, June 6th to 17th, Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Call for pay cost of registration, hotel, travel, and meals not included in the reservation fee, which will be offset by a $500 scholarship.
I'll support that.
Partially offset.
Partially. I will support that motion. So we have a motion, we have a support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Clerk Good is a yes. Treasurer Hart?
Yeah,
Trustee Knotts?
Yes.
Trustee Richley?
Yes.
Trustee Babel?
Yes.
Trustee Blackstock?
Yes.
Supervisor Roush?
Yes. All right, motion carries. New business 7. So as discussed earlier in the meeting, new business 7 is to increase the clerk's salary from $7,426 to $11,426 to amend the 2001 budget to reflect the intended $4,000 increase. Also, as discussed, the money was set aside from the last board for this position. So is there any further discussion? I know it's
I
a
don't
hot
think you have
topic.
to amend the budget. I think the
No, we
money's
don't
in.
have to make, no, you're right, we
You
don't.
don't have to amend the budget.
We have to approve the resolution.
You have to approve the resolution to pay them. That's what you're gonna do.
Yeah, you're right.
I do have some concerns, kind of the same as when I first brought this item up in late December, about it being the only one that was getting a raise in the salary. I was informed that this action was allocated in the budget for the clerk's office, but it was never followed up on with a resolution by the previous board, which makes it not fully approved yet. Upon further questioning and investigating the reason for the large raise, I was informed there was a meeting between the previous supervisor, Simons, and previous clerk, Smith, where they had discussed it. I asked where the board meeting minutes were, where this was discussed, or the board's budget workshop minutes where it was discussed and approved, and I was told they do not exist. This was simply done as a budget amendment at the previous board last meeting in November, but not brought up as a separate item or discussed. And as we know, previous members of the board that were usually absent at board meetings, never even got a chance to vote on that too. Also, in late December meeting, after I brought up the clerk's salary item, Trustee Knott stated he would need to take a look at an almost 60% raise for the clerk and would not support that. Also, Trustee Knott stated in our meeting on March 15th, and again tonight, just a little bit ago, when I asked for the board's salaries to be looked at again, as he brought up in December that he feels we should not be asking for raises for ourselves during these COVID-depressed times. But later in the meeting, when the board was discussing Clerk Good's resignation and possible replacements, Trustee Knott and a few others stated, well, the money was allocated in the budget, so I'd be for it. So what has changed so drastically where in December and earlier in the March 15th meeting, you were not for it, but then all of a sudden, you are. The board had just voted to start a committee to do a salary review minutes before, which you voted against, and then you turn around and are ready to approve a 54% pay raise for the possible new clerk without even seeing other applicants that we may have gotten. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Well, I guess let's,
It
sorry, go ahead.
was stated that the extra money for the clerk is for extra election duties. However, the township has a hired person, Wendy, who's deputy clerk, that is the elections coordinator that handles all that on a day-to-day basis when we have an election year. Handling elections is a statutory duty of the clerk's office, and we do not have elections every year. Every office has their busy times of the year. With the clerks, it is elections when they happen. Again, I'm not saying no to any one candidate serving as clerk. I feel it is still early on, and the board has 45 days from the date we accept the resignation, which I'm assuming is going to be today, So potentially we have until May 20th to appoint a new clerk. This also gives more time for the board's salary review committee to review all board positions and provide recommendations, which allows the board to be more informed as well. Otherwise, I feel if the board votes today thinking it is okay to raise one position and not others after we already voted for the review committee, then why are we bothering with the review committee? That would be going against what we already voted for. If we are not going to uphold the process voted for, then we should not go ahead with the committee and submit resolutions for raises like this one for the clerk.
Okay.
I'd like to know what law she's referring to. It gives 45 days.
Yeah, what is the, do you have a reference for the 45 days? Because that's not what I was told at all.
Yeah. Now, hold on, let me find what page it's on.
Problem is, if you don't have a clerk, you don't have a deputy clerk, we can't sign checks.
It's on page 93 if you guys have your authorities and responsibilities book. Filling a vacancy. The township board must appoint someone to fill a township board vacancy within 45 days after the vacancy started, on the day after the vacancy and counted through holidays and weekends.
That's not the problem.
Hold on.
The problem is if you don't have a clerk,
You don't have a deputy.
you don't have a deputy clerk. And if you don't have a deputy clerk, we can't sign checks.
Problem
That's
we've
what I
had
was told.
3
That's
times
the
in a row.
problem. I'll wait 45 days for a clerk.
This isn't the first time this has come up. We're not making these decisions because we have not gone through this issue before.
Somebody.
And I'll be honest with you, you can have all
gonna be me.
the discussions about pay raises. I'll be honest, I'm not voting for a pay raise for anybody, except for the clerk and maybe the treasurer. I don't think anybody at a trustee level
I agree.
deserves a raise. So you can have your commission. It'd be nice to know, the last time I checked, when we call a commission, it's for information only.
That's right.
This board still has to vote on that decision, and I'll let you know what my vote will be right now.
Right.
So
Right.
if you want to look into it and see what it is historically,
We do not need any further.
that's fine.
I agree, and like for trustees especially, it's like I wouldn't mind if we're not paid at all, but I mean, you know, like I think the supervisor, the clerk, and the treasurer, they're the ones that do the work of the township and that kind of thing, and that's and the township manager as well. My issue in the grand scheme of things, I'm not opposed to the increase. Like I said, I think that there needs to be more research as to what that pay increase should be. I mean, maybe what we're doing now is too low. You know, I mean, in my opinion, you know, you look at other townships, it's even with the increase, she would still, or whoever the clerk's gonna be, still would be well below what other townships are, but I think that that's a discussion that needs to happen before we vote on this, but that's just my thought.
I do believe that we should have a committee to find out at least what's going on in the other communities and the pay scales and all that. I mean, it doesn't hurt. I mean, we can find out all this information, bring it back, and then we vote on it or whatever. I mean, nothing's written in stone by doing this committee. And furthermore, well, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of communities they have a full-time clerk, they have a full-time treasurer, so you can't almost compare that to
Right.
anything either. So we have to figure out, you know, with having a part-time clerk and a part-time treasurer, because we do have a bookkeeper or financial person in the office on a full-time basis. So that kind of takes away the treasurer's duties, you know.
Right.
That
Like Wendy
full-time
does-
treasurer would do.
Right, like Wendy does all the clerk stuff, right?
Right.
Yep.
So that's why
Actually,
we
like
only
the
have
chart of
part-time.
accounts and everything is normally clerk's duties in the general ledger, which Corinne is doing, not the treasurer.
What was that? I didn't catch it.
You say that again, Nicole?
I said the GL and the chart of accounts and that type of work, normally the clerk does that because there's checks and balances, and those are what our bookkeeper, Corinne, is doing.
Noted.
Those are normally clerk's duties. I know everybody thinks anything with money is treasurer, but that's not totally the case.
The clerk's responsibility is the general ledger, which is checkbook.
Clerk's responsibility for general ledger,
Yeah.
among other things.
Among a lot of other things. And I can't vote on this, and I can't really, shouldn't even be discussing it, but actually, but I want you to know that I've put in between 250 and almost 300 hours on online courses, testing. I passed the initial certification. I'm qualified to do the qualified voter file. I've gone through that testing. The worst part is you have to do this every other year. It's not just I do it now and then I'm like an insurance agent. You know, I can be an agent for 20 years.
You're the only,
Every other year, you have to go back and do it again.
you're the only
And it-
position that's required to
And
take
it is a
tests
lot.
and be certified by the state.
Yeah, it's the only position.
All I gotta do is get elected.
Which I believe is what you guys were referencing is the old board, those additional duties that have changed over the last 20 years since the last time that.
Yeah, I'll be quite honest with you. 15, 20 years ago, the clerk didn't do much.
No, they didn't.
I'll just flat out tell you, they didn't do much. Their deputies did most of the work. But now, we're to a point in the office where their duties are stretched thin, and the elected officials now are having more demands put on them. We've heard this 3 times from 3 different clerks. Every time they turn around, the state's mandating that they have to do something else. The last election is what basically broke them. Because you were able to come in and sign up to vote that day.
Yeah.
So their tasks on an election year wasn't just every 2 years for an election year. They were dealing with election duties year-round. And we heard this from every clerk we had on this board. And they're looking at it going, I can't be in here 30 hours a week in this office doing this for whatever it works out an hour.
There's not even an office.
Well, there used to be an office, now there's
Not
not.
even
but-
an office. And you sit at the front desk and at that old computer and sign checks and go through all the paperwork you have to go through.
The issue with the wages, I'm sure that whatever we pay them, we'd probably be low. If we need to amend that, or after the study, we find that the treasurer or the supervisor or the board is horribly underpaid, that's fine, we still have to vote on it. No offense to the supervisor, but the last 3 years, that's been the key position. We hired Cindy to handle the day-to-day, because the supervisor had the same issues.
Right.
He had a part-time position.
And a full-time job.
That in the past, well, it became a full-time job because certain individuals made it a full-time job. Past supervisors did it, and they did it gladly. But now we're to a point where we're still requesting part-time, and we're putting more and more demands on these 3 individuals. That's why we brought Cindy on board. So she's hopefully freed up the duties of the supervisor, I'm hoping,
Yeah, Cindy's
on a
amazing.
day-to-day.
She does a lot, yeah.
Exactly. So the issue we're having now is with the clerk. Like I said, I have no problem with the commission knowing what is out there and what's being paid is great, but at the end of the day, I agree with Ralph. I'm not gonna, I'll be honest with you, it's a no vote for me on a pay raise for the trustees.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
You know.
The treasurer,
Do I have to-
we can evaluate that. I have no idea where we're at with the pay scale. I just know that I've sat here now for 8 years. I've gone through more clerks than what I should have being on this board, and it's been the same complaint. I can't be here 30 to 40 hours a week.
I think if we're going to try
For that
to
salary.
recruit another clerk, we probably need to address that tonight. And if we want to amend it later, I'll go along with Herb and we'll amend it later. But I think we should address the problem tonight so that we can get on with having an opportunity to get another clerk on a short notice.
Correct.
And the 45 days notwithstanding, we still have to have somebody in here that does the financial work, and that means you have to have a clerk, or you have to have a deputy clerk. And you can't have a deputy without a clerk. The law says no. The clerk goes away, the deputy position goes away, because the deputy is appointed by the clerk.
So we have on the actions requested, we have two different items here, and it's strictly just
In the middle of this.
yeah, it's just a budget error. We've used the number 4,000. The budget was actually amended by $3,820. Or we have the option to bump it up to the full 4,000. So I would be of the opinion that we keep it to what the budget of the last board set in place, which is the $3,820 raise. Salary.
Good start.
So,
Is that a motion?
So moved.
yeah, I can, I'll make a motion for this. So, resolution, there's no number, -21, compensation to township officer. Minutes of a regular meeting of the Township Board of the Charter Township of East China, County of St. Clair, Michigan, held in the Township Hall on the 5th day of April, 2021 at 7:30. Following resolution was offered by Supervisor Roush. Whereas Michigan compiled laws and noted section 41-95 subsection 3 provides that the salary for officers composing the Township Board shall be determined by the Township Board. And whereas the clerk of the Charter Township of East China had a salary adjustment effective October 3rd, 2005, whereas the salary of the Township Clerk is currently as follows: Clerk, $7,426. Whereas the July 1st, 2005 to June 30th, 2006 wage increase to Union Township employees is 3%. And whereas the Township Board wishes to adjust the salary of the Township Clerk as follows: $11,246. Now therefore it be resolved that the salary for the Township Clerk of the Charter Township of East China shall be adjusted as shown above, effective April 5th, 2021. All resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution be and the same hereby are rescinded.
I'll support.
Supported by Mr. Blackstock. All right, we have a motion, we have support. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Ridgely.
No.
Trustee Knotts.
Yes.
Trustee Blackstock.
Yes.
Trustee Bagel.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Treasurer Hart.
No.
Supervisor Roush.
Yes. All right, so the motion carries, or the resolution carries.
I abstain.
Yes. All right, new business 8. The resignation of Martin Good effective April 5th, 2021. I don't think there's lots to discuss here, but if there's any
You really
further.
want to go?
Not really, but, you know, the mind says I can, but the body says, no, it's time to quit. It's time to give it up. I wish I was 10 years younger, but I'm not.
I'll make a motion that we accept the resolution of the clerk, Mr. Martin Good, effective the April 5, 2021 with regret.
I support.
We have a motion, we have a support to accept the resignation of Mr. Good. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. You're off the hook. Last item, new business 9, the appointment of a new clerk due to the resignation of Clerk Martin Good. We have had, we put the opening on the township website. We've put the opening on the Macomb Daily. in all their affiliates. We paid, I don't know, a couple $100 to post this. We've had it in the paper. We've had 2 applicants for the clerk position. Neither one of them were candidates because they did not live in East China or reside in East China at all. We've had one we've reached out to, which was the old clerk as a fill-in position, and she's willing to help us out again, which is Sandra Smith. She has a lot of experience in the township. Like I said, she helped the last board out when the clerk resigned last year, and she's willing to accept the position again. Even though it did take her a little bit of thinking about it, so she knows what's involved.
That's probably why that's why she hesitated, because she knows what's involved.
Yes. But at the end of the day, she was thankful to be considered.
Well, I'll stick my foot in it. I'll make a motion that we appoint Sandra Smith as clerk of East China Township to replace Mr. Good. Effective
April 5th.
when did we just fire you?
April 5th.
Effective 5th of April.
I'll support.
All right, we have a motion, we have a support to appoint Sandy Smith as to fill the clerk role for East China Township.
The only concern that I have, because there was a lot of people that, like, kind of spoke with me with regard to where I posted about the clerk position. People were under the understanding that was for $7,000. Now that we've increased it, I don't know if there's a way we could repost it.
Did you have anybody inquire about it, one way or another, about the wage even?
Like I said, no, it was two folks sent resumes in. One was from New Haven, the other one was from Macomb. So,
The only concern I have, like, just with the township website, as an example, like, because before I was on the board, like, I never checked the township website. I don't read the Voice or the Times Herald or any newspapers or whatever. I just go on social media. So it's like, I will vote in favor of Mrs. Smith for clerk, but I have a concern that it's just, it was posted at $7,000 and now it's a different amount. So I was concerned about that, but.
all right, now it's noted. Yeah, I mean, as it was posted, the resolution was made tonight, so we weren't being misleading there, so.
We have to do
Well,
this
I
again
also
6
had
months
that
anyway.
concern too, because I think this was only brought up and brought to attention to do this resolution because Sandy Smith was not going to take the job unless she got more money.
How do you know
Should
that?
have really posted it for that.
I wouldn't say that out loud because you don't know that for sure.
That's what was said at the
I think
last
she
meeting.
said that.
That's a rumor.
That was said at the last meeting, though.
It's a rumor. I haven't seen anything in writing on that. I haven't heard her come in there and say that. And we're making things up, and we shouldn't do that.
That wasn't out of my mouth, but.
Sorry, Nicole, go ahead. Nicole, do you have something?
No, I was just going to say, if it's not true, then why can't we just go through with the commission that we voted for without doing the salary until it's gone through the whole committee?
Well, as it stands now, we voted in favor of the salary increase, and now we voted in favor of the resignation of Mr. Good.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's a moot point now, but those were my points.
all right. Well, we have a motion, we have support on the floor to appoint Sandy Smith. So we have to have a vote on this regardless. So with that, if there any further discussion, I guess we'll take a roll call on this.
I will abstain according to law. Trustee Blackstock.
Yes.
Trustee Babel.
Yes.
Trustee Knotts.
Yes.
Treasurer Hart.
Yeah.
Trustee Richley.
Yes.
Supervisor Roush.
Yes. All right, that concludes new business. We do have an FYI in the packet here with weight restrictions. As far as I know, none of you guys are heavy haulers, but the frost laws did come off on March 26th. March 26th. It affects my day-to-day job, but I don't think anybody else is in here. Another FYI, as you've seen on the door posted, there was a symptoms of COVID with exposure. So with Cindy being out of town this week, a couple of our employees exposed. I made the call yesterday evening to just close the office for this week. In accordance with our preparedness plan, which states that anybody in exposure needs to be off for 10 days or, provide negative testing. So all that being said, we didn't really have enough employees to fill, to have two people in the office, which is the policy we have, which is not having one person in the building alone. So we couldn't fill the two people needed to keep the township doors open. So that's just more of an FYI. It's been communicated with everybody. We're doing some contact tracing and some informational stuff like that, so.
Are there instructions for the citizens in terms of if their bills due or?
Yes, Irene is coming in. Irene and Corinne are splitting the duties of coming in to check the drop boxes and process payments. So, yeah, everybody's not off. They're just working remotely this week. We're just closing to the public, and like I said, in accordance with our office policy to not have less than two people in the office, it just wasn't feasible to have anybody here, so. Other than that, announcements. Any other announcements? If not, we get into member comments. Go around the horn here. Treasurer Hart?
I have nothing more.
Trustee Blackstock?
Just a question, is there any update on our search for office staff?
We interviewed, we did a phone interview last week with a lady that has all the qualifications. She actually does the same job in a different township now, and she just moved into Marine City. She was looking for more of a full-time job with benefits. So we thought she was gonna be the ace, but it turns out that she's looking for more. So Cindy did get about 20 applications for that position, so we're still filtering through those.
Okay.
But yeah, we have some interest in that job, so I think that we'll be okay.
And that's a part-time job.
Part-time job, yes. Trustee Babel?
Just to thank Martin Good for his work and everything, and sorry to see you go, but we appreciate that Sandy's gonna come in and take over, so, that being said,
Thank you.
hope everything goes well for you.
Trustee Richley?
I just echo the same thing that Mrs. Babel said, and thank you, Mr. Good, and thank you, Mrs. Smith. And also, hope everybody had a good Easter, and is Cindy going to get with me and Mrs. Babel about the first meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Cindy's on vacation this week, so when she gets back and she sees that what appointments we have, then she'll be in touch.
Okay, cool.
Trustee Knotts?
I have one thing, not picking on you, but I'm using this for an example. Trustee Ridley sent an email out to all of us. It was one of those ones where it has everybody's address. It discussed matters at which, in it, his opinion on things that he would like to do on the matters that are under discussion of the board. That in itself is not a violation of the Open Meetings Act. However, there is a catch in this because it was addressed to everybody. If somebody had hit the reply all button, then it would have become a discussion outside of this meeting with more than 3 of members, and that is a de facto violation of the, fortunately, as far as I can tell, nobody hit the reply all button. But you have to be careful, so if you want to use email to talk to each other, make sure it's just you and 2 other people at the max. Or you send out multiple, however you do that, but emails can be dangerous if you're not, and we don't need to get into that bailiwick because there are people that watch that sort of stuff. And
Thank you,
I
Ralph,
just-
for
I would
that.
just-
I mean, we
I
probably
would just
wouldn't even
bring that up to
realize that.
everybody, that if you're, that, you know, addressing stuff to more than 2 other board members and then getting a reply all could become a violation of the Open Meetings Act. And that's all I have, and thank you, Mr. Good, for all that you've done, and I hope the rest of your time is fine.
Thank you. I'll keep up with you.
For myself, yeah, thank you, Mr. Good. Hope your health and the body
Hey,
is more at ease with this decision. All right, I'll close the meeting here at 9:05 on April 5th. Make a motion to close the meeting.
Second?
We have a motion, we have a support. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned.